Sadly, I never actually read the BFG. I need to get on that. Hi guys, it's time for another Top 5 Wednesday. If you're not familiar with Top 5 Wednesday, I'll leave a link to the Goodreads group down below. The theme of today is children's books, and I kind of struggled a bit to figure out, like, should I go with new children's books or children's books from like when I was little. So I decided to go down memory lane and share with you some of the books that I really loved as a child. Okay, these aren't really on the list, but of course I loved like fairy tale collections from like the Brothers Grimm, H.C. Andersen, Asbjørnsen and Moe, which are two Norwegian ones. So they had a lot of fairy tales that I read growing up, but I'm not counting those in this video. The first I have isn't really like a book, it's more of a like learn to count book. But it was my entire childhood, The Very Hungry Caterpillar, or as it's called in Norwegian, Lille Larven aldri mett, which translates to Little Caterpillar Never Full, I guess. I just adore this book. I must have read it like 100 times and forced my mom to read it, and it was my childhood. It was my childhood. My own children are going to read this book whether they want to or not. Another book that like meant a lot to me as a child, while not really being a children's book, something I realized when I reread it last year, is The Little Prince. I remember my dad reading this to me when I was little, and I just loved it, and especially because my dad wasn't really the one who usually read to me. That was more of my mom's role, which is why I really remember this one. But when I reread it last year, I realized it is absolutely not a children's book. It's really like philosophical and really sad, but as a child I did enjoy it, and it is kind of shaped like a children's book, so kids could read it, but adults could also read it. Now, some of my children's books that I do still have, but they're like packed up in a box and put on the attic and will never be sold, is this collection of illustrated Torbjørn Egner books. With like Dyrene i Hakkebakkeskogen and Da Per var ku and Kardemommeby, and there's a lot of, I'm just saying the Norwegian titles. I don't know what the titles are like translated to, but there are like a lot of really short and sweet stories, and I adored them all. I'm counting this as one book. Well, Matilda was a book that I did read and did love. Another book by Roald Dahl that I adored was The Twits, or Dustene. It was just hilarious to me, and I remember I read it at home, and then what felt to me is not a whole lot of time had passed. I don't even know. But we also read it like at school in first grade. I picked this up a few times during like primary school, and every time I loved it, and I really need to reread that one. But generally Roald Dahl, you have The Witches, Matilda of course, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but The Twits was absolutely my favorite. And the last book is one that I read as I sort of started to come towards secondary school. So I started the series when I was maybe 10, and that is Saba. I think the first one is called Sarah's Dream, although actually in Swedish, which is the original language, I think she's called Clara instead of Sarah. This is like a horse book series following this girl. I think she's like 11 or 12 when she starts out in the first book. Each book is about like 150 pages long, I think, and if I'm not wrong, there are 18 books in the series. These all came out very rapidly, at least the Norwegian translations did. I lived for that series during that year or two when they first got out. I don't really remember what it's all about, and it's probably just full of all these cliches, but to me, as a horse-obsessed little girl, I absolutely love them. And that is everything I have for you for this Wednesday. If you did enjoy this video, please click the like button, Leave a comment down below about some of your favorite children's books. Did we read some of the same books when we were young? Anyway, I try to post regularly on this channel, so if you hit subscribe, you'll be notified as of when I have a new video up. Bye!